Say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If you thought I married Beth Dutton might be getting a little soft after watching the first episode of Season 5 of Yellowstone, you probably dispensed with that idea like a 50-cent candy bar in Episode 2.
And we both know how you treated your own father.
Good gravy was that scene uncomfortable. And problematic. There's a really, really big issue with how Beth and John are treating Jamie, and it's kind of a huge plot hole. I'll get there, and when I do, I think you'll join me in a collective facepalm. Hey, it's Billy Dukes, back for the first of 13 weekly episode breakdowns of Yellowstone, plus more once 1923 begins. Subscribers know we end up delivering even more than that, like this video about the Dutton family tree. They also know that this is a conversation, and I'll respond in the comments section or via email at staff@tasteofcountry.com. Are you satisfied with how this season's beginning? I still have a lot of questions about episodes 1 and 2, like what the heck this meant.
I'd have to choose the end of us. And I will never choose that.
I'm intentionally drawing this intro out a little bit before we get to the meat of this video, which is the big Season 5 tragedy. In my opinion, it's the biggest Yellowstone tragedy to date, but I do want to give a chance for people who don't want to know to hop out, so tap the thumbs up button if you agree that what happened at the end of Episode 1 was the saddest ever, and hang tight for exclusive cast explanations about key plot points from these two episodes.
I had a brother, for an hour anyway.
That's Tate, Monica and Casey Dutton's oldest son. He's talking to Governor John Dutton. We were all totally right about that. After Monica lost the baby when, well, I'm just going to show you this still shot because it was a really difficult scene to sit through. You might not recall her telling Casey that she was pregnant to end Season 4, but you flash forward and she tried to drive herself to the hospital and hit a buffalo while driving. I thought that might be the worst of it until Episode 2 began and we see that she was ejected from the car. Tate fortunately only broke his arm. The remarkable thing about all of this is that the two-part premiere ended with this trauma more or less put to bed.
I liked having a brother.
Physically, she's okay, and there is the expected emotions, plus some really great acting by Kelsey Asbill and Luke Grimes, but together they work through it all and she decides,
I'd like to bury him at the ranch. That way we can always visit him.
That's huge, right? It signals that she now considers herself a Dutton first, because she could have just as easily have asked for that baby to be buried on her people's land. I think the whole family might be coming back home, but right now, I'm going to stop down here to dissect what happens next in this episode. Monica asks Casey if this is what he saw when he told her, I saw the end of us, at the end of Season 4. I mean, that was the big cliffhanger, right?
I saw the end of us.
What did Casey see?
No, babe. No, I never saw this coming. This won't be the end of us.
She's pretty satisfied with that answer, and she doesn't ask anything to follow up like, I don't know, what did you see? I know, I'm a little more gossipy than most, but come on, dude. We still had no idea until, and you might have turned the TV off like me the first time, but there was a trailer for Episode 3 that finds this scene.
My vision told me I'd have to choose, so I'm choosing. Stay easy, Casey.
In his vision, Casey was given two paths to choose from. I think Casey's choice is between staying with his family or remaining with his dad as an enforcer. So he quits his job as livestock commissioner and distances himself, or he goes all in on the family. I'm not sure we fully understand the consequences to both choices quite yet, but both will be certain to lead to something awful. It sounds like we might have to wait a while before we find out. Here's what Luke Grimes told us during a Yellowstone Media Day ahead of the premiere.
Throughout Season 5, even more toward the end of Season 5, you start to understand, what that meant for him and what he saw and what the sort of that choice that he had to make in that vision quest.
If you missed it, the baby's name was John, and Luke explained why that is significant, but first it looks like we were all right about Monica and her hair. If you watched this video, you heard a viewer's suggestion that she cuts her hair because it's common for Native Americans to do just that when they suffer a great loss. We haven't seen her cut the hair. We certainly saw the great loss. We also got one or two really contemplative looks from Monica that suggest a haircut is coming. Links in the corner to that video. My guess is that's part of the funeral scene for baby John Dutton. a scene that as a father of 3 boys, I am not looking forward to. Here, Luke talks about the significance of the couple keeping the family name John.
I think it's always kind of like they obviously have like a storied relationship, you know, and there's always seems to be these funny little moments where out of nowhere, like for example, Casey's talking to Wolf and John finds him out there and he's walking back. The first time you ever heard him say it or have any sort of intimate anything, he just says, "I love you, Dad," and he goes in the tent. It's like, whoa, that's so powerful when you never see it coming and you don't see it a lot, you know, and I think it's just another one of those little eggs of Easter eggs of I do love you, and our relationship might be hard, and we might not understand each other, see eye to eye, but you are my father, and I do love you.
In my opinion, there are only 2 big things to talk about from the start of Yellowstone, and that was one of them. But I do want to quickly pass over a few more things percolating, so this is kind of rapid fire. If you got a question, drop it below, or email me, staff@tasteofcountry.com. I'll respond if I know, or make a new video if it's big enough. John Dutton is now governor, and the season picks up on election night some months after season 4 wrapped. Kind of figured that they had to do that to explain why child actors like Carter went from looking like this to this. I didn't find any of the flashback scenes to be particularly informative, other than to show how Beth is in some ways softening.
You robbed us of so much time together because I was...
But remember...
Say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Angela Blue Thunder is back. She's a great character, but I have no idea what she's doing or what goal she has or what she's trying to accomplish. She was a part of Season 3 when the Native Americans were more actively warring with the Duttons. Chief Rainwater's next move is not really known, but I think he's going to make a big play, and during our newest episode of Dutton Rules, I even predicted that he's going to end this season with some significant leverage. You could find links to that podcast in the description section. This might be a hot take, but up until the car crash, Episode 1, kind of a snoozer. Remember how Season 4 began with that epic 15-minute sequence that found Casey attacking whomever it was that attacked the Dutton family? It ended up being Jamie's dad. This season began with politics. Episode 2 did hit hard with the replay of the car crash and the most uncomfortable Beth and Jamie scene ever.
And then we'll just quietly put you out to pasture.
And then Carter accidentally got John Dutton's horse killed. Really felt for the kid there. By the way, I think he's going to be a big part of Season 5, and we know he gets a girlfriend somewhere along the way. The Dutton Rules team has already talked to her. But there's a lot of politics and political jargon, and it all ends up with this scene.
Once you deny their rezoning request, I'm revoking their lease on our land. I'm placing the ranch in a conservation easement. Yeah.
If you put the land in a conservation easement, we have no moves. We can't sell off a piece to cover losses or taxes. We can't ever develop it, neither can anyone else.
Exactly.
No, Dad, we could lose the whole thing.
But it'll be whole, honey.
That was John's goal. Beth obviously was not aware of and does not approve of this plan at first.
Yeah.
If you put the land in a conservation easement, we have no moves. We can't sell off a piece to cover losses or taxes.
Rezoning, market equities, government meetings, calendars, leases, blah, blah, blah. We did meet Sarah Atwood, who we're told has a very nice butt.
If you're gonna look, then be man enough to stare.
I wasn't looking, I swear. Colby and Ryan shooting those wolves is going to be a real issue later on, but I think the bigger issue is this scene.
Son doesn't look up to this fight. I think I'm gonna start with him.
Here's the thing. Jamie Dutton doesn't want to be here. His sister and his dad are merciless, and they think that he'll continue to do exactly what they say to stay out of jail. But what if he calls the bluff? And this is the big plot hole that Yellowstone needs to fill. If Jamie goes down, would he not take the entire family down with him? He already tried to do it once back in Season 1 with that newspaper reporter, whom he killed. Then he killed his dad, Garrett, for more or less the same reason. Is it 3 strikes? They're out? Marquette Equities may be savvy enough to find him a way out, and then, boom, goes the dynamite. There's no way that both John and Beth and Jamie survive this show. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that someone dies this season. Do you agree? Comments below and let's keep it civil. I'm Billy Dukes with Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.